Sports in the city. Sports in the city. Sports in the city. We keeping it gritty with the sports in the city, coming to you live from the arena. From the east to the west coast, from the south to the north, all over the globe. There are sports in the city wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in to Sick TV. Thanks for tuning in to Sick TV. Welcome to that Sports in the City live from the arena. I am your sports G, Reed Richards, with my partners in crime, BK Ty, Kato Cash, and John Logic. Peace my G's, peace God, what's the deal, my brothers? BK Ty, Kato Cash, Logic, response in the city. Welcome to that Sports in the City live from the arena.
Yes, sir. Welcome to that Sports in the City. Sports in the city. We keeping it gritty with that Sports in the City. Thanks for tuning in to Sports in the City TV. I'm your sports G, Reed Richards, with my partner in crime, BK Ty. What's good, brother?
Salute. Shouts out to everybody out there, every court, every arena, every rink, north, east, west to the south. Yo, shouts out to everybody. Appreciate y'all for linking in with us today.
Definitely hit up that chat, get at us, hit that like, share and subscribe. Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Check in while we're live. Leave your comments. Let us know which top shelf sports topics you want to talk about. Want to sponsor the show? Let us know. Peace, God. We're back in Sports in the City. What's the deal, my brother?
I'm well, brother. I'm well. Can't complain, man. You know, it's a lot going on in the sports world, man. It's been a minute, you know, so I guess we got a lot to catch up on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been a long time, as Rakim would say. So here we go, man. Let's get to it. This is going to be a classic.
It's gonna be a monster, man. We gonna get that's gonna be a monster.
Welcome to that Sports in the City via the iRant Network. Presents Top Shelf Thursday, Season 3, Episode 3. What's the story in the city? The word on the streets, the haps from the arena. Great men do great things. We laugh, joke, and kid, but we don't play. We don't play around. We don't mess around. We don't fool around. We get down to the business. So let's get to it, man. Strictly top shelf off the top of the pile. What's the story in the city, Ty? What's the story in the city?
Yo, the biggest story right now, of course, you know, it's Shador and Dion, dog.
Oh, yeah. Definitely going to have to touch on that. What's the word on the streets?
Fall. Precipitous fall. Precipitous, as they say, man. Shador, LA got eliminated from the playoffs last night. You know, I know Nico Harris is happy.
Yeah, you know, he was catching a lot of flack. And the haps in the arena, we got some playoff games stewing. We're going to start with March Madness. Who took the crowns? Was that UConn for the ladies?
Yep.
And Paige Becker showed up. Also got drafted #1 in the WNBA draft. And then on the men's side, it was the Florida Gators.
Wow.
Right? So they won their I think that's their third one because they won back-to-back before, right?
Yeah, with what's his name?
Billy Donovan.
Yeah, Donovan was a coach with
Billy Donovan.
Horford and the boys, Corey Brewer. Corey Brewer.
Your man Joakim Noah.
Joakim Noah, yeah, that was that squad. Did they win back-to-back?
Yeah. They did.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up. Yeah, third chip for Florida, which is pretty good. They've I think they were not consensus #1, but they were one of the top teams in D1 basketball for most of the season. And right before the tournament started, they kind of solidified themselves as the best team in the country. Even more I won't say ironic, but noteworthy was like this is the first year that the Final Four went chalk in I think ever. Is it ever or
the first time on the men's side that all the number ones made it to the Final Four.
Yeah, so
yes, sir.
That was crazy. That was crazy. And ironically enough, this was the first year I really didn't participate in March Madness, do the brackets or any of that stuff this year.
Right.
Shouts out to St. John's. Everybody asks me, do you follow college football, college basketball? I don't have a particular team outside of, I definitely support the Red Storm, formerly known as the Johnnies.
Right.
And Syracuse and St. John's. You grow up in New York. Those are your college teams. Those who you root for, so.
Yeah, they can't call them. They can't call them the Red Men anymore.
Nah,
since the Indian Nation advocated to strike that out of all sports teams and logos.
Respect is respect, man.
So now they're the Red Storm, but they had a good run though. But they're gonna build on that because Rick Pitino always has a strong foundation.
Yeah, I think he got a hell of a transfer portal group. He got like 5 top players in the country that transferred from other schools. That's going to St. John's next year.
Yes.
So I definitely see a trip back to the tournament in the near future.
And they just announced today that the St. John's men will be playing his former team, Kentucky, in that classic coming up in the fall. They're replacing UCLA on that. So that's a good note, man. Yeah, shout out to the Red Storm. They had a great run. Fell a little short, but I think that they have a strong foundation to build for another run in the upcoming season. What about the WNBA draft? Moving along to that. Any standout picks that you saw that you got your eye on?
Asia James, who got drafted by the Dallas Wings, a Virginia Beach product, 757 representative. So stand up 757 Hampton Roads in the house. She actually went to the school that my sister graduated from, Princess Anne High. So shouts out to Asia for getting drafted with Dallas. But to your point, salute to Paige. She repped in the tournament and then definitely earned her spot as the #1 pick in the WNBA draft. So salute to her.
Correct. And I'm happy for her because she's overcome a lot of injuries and so forth over her collegiate career. So let's see how she does in the WNBA.
She brought the glory back to UConn.
Yes,
shouts out to my man Wise Guy, the biggest UConn fan on the planet, or that I know anyway.
Oh, shout out to the great Gino Auriemma. What was that? His 11th chip?
Yo, Gino has more.
I think that's his 11th.
If I'm not, is it his 11th?
Yes, sir.
I think it's his 13th.
13th? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, I stand corrected.
He's definitely the winningest coach in college basketball. And I might say he might be the winningest coach in life, period. I can't think of another coach that has 13 championships. That's crazy.
How many chips does Gino Auriemma have? He has 12. He has 12. Gotcha. But yeah, nevertheless, if he's not the greatest coach of all time, he's definitely up there on the Mount Rushmore. Definitely on the Mount Rushmore of that. So moving along, we're going to move on to live from the Diamond, the MLB. First, two things that I have to point out so far in the season. So Aaron Judge is on a torrid pace. He's had one heck of an April. He's batting .427 with 10 home runs and with 32 RBI. And he's either tying or leading in all categories. And then all of the power categories, as far as extra base hits and those other power categories, he's #1. So he's definitely showing that he's the best player in baseball. Minus Ohtani, who only surpasses him when he pitches and plays regular days. in the field or DH. Anybody else, like Aaron Judge, is head and shoulders above the crowd, literally, because he's like 6'7", and in the stat sheet, he's head and shoulders above everybody. The other thing that stands out to me so far is like the Los Angeles Dodgers. My goodness, man, they have a monster squad. They have a monster squad.
You see a
Yes, sir. And led by Aaron Judge. Although Garrett Cole is out, Max Fried and the other pitchers have been stepping up. And then the Yankees offense has been very explosive. They have this this bat called a torpedo bat. Although it's been used in the league before, this year the Yankees have put that bat on the map, and they have hit torrid home runs. Last night they hit 3 first-inning home runs back to back, which was insane. And they've already had like several games. I think one game they scored like 24 runs, excuse me. And last night, I think they won like 15-3. When they are winning, they're mashing. And American League East, followed by the Red Sox, the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Orioles, who were like the number 1 team in the East last year. So it's a 180 for the Baltimore Orioles. The Tigers are in first place, followed by the Indians, the Royals, Minnesota Twins, and Chicago White Sox, who's a cellar dweller once again this year at 7-23 in the Central. In the West, the Mariners are in first, followed by the Astros, who always make a late season playoff run over the last decade. The Athletics, the Rangers, and the Los Angeles Angels. They always changing their names. So yeah, they're
Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles.
So anyway, I guess their name change might bring them some good fortune this year. And in the National League, the big blockbuster play was Juan Soto moving from the Bronx to Queens, and now he's playing for the Mets. And they have the best record in baseball at 21-10, followed by the Phillies in the National League East. Oh, with the Dodgers. Yeah. Philadelphia Phillies, Atlanta Braves, the Nationals, and then the Marlins. In the Central, the Chicago Cubs are first, followed by the Brewers, the Reds, the Cardinals, and the Pirates. And as you mentioned, the Los Angeles Dodgers are in first place in the West. And that's a tough division right there. They're only 2 games in front of the They're 1.5 games in front of the Padres, 2 games in front of the Giants, and then the Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies bring up the rear. The Colorado Rockies, not on a good note, they're definitely orphans, along with the White Sox in baseball. They're on pace to have the most losses in the Major League season, which was the record that was set last year by the Chicago White Sox. So it's going to be an interesting season. Any other closing thoughts on Live from the Diamond? MLB is just heating up. The spring equinox continues.
No more thoughts, brother. Let's go Bombers.
All right.
I did want to mention, though, kind of getting back to the coaching thing. In pro sports, it's Phil Jackson with 11. But overall, Gino Auriemma is the winningest coach in any sport in the history of sports, with 12 championships.
12 championships, which is crazy. On any level,
any sport.
Little League, intramurals, AAU, whatever. 12
football,
chips.
basketball, hockey, you name it.
Right. 12 chips.
Gino is the Don.
Yes, sir. Moving on to the NFL helmet to helmet. Kicking off the NFL helmet to helmet segment. We high stepping through the league like Coach Prime. And we're going to be covering the biggest story in the NFL draft, which was the fall of Shedeur Sanders. Say it again, the precipitous fall of Deion Sanders. What do you think was the cause of that, my brother?
Him going into interviews like he's Deion Sanders and not Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
There's a lot of talk of collusion
Right.
And one thing I know about the NFL, man, is, you know, a team is not going to pass on a player that could potentially change their fortunes.
Right.
You know, I know a lot of people are mad because I agree, him falling to the 5th round is surprising, but him not getting drafted in the 1st round is not such a big surprise for me. You know, there's questions about his game, period. And this
he was the most accurate passer though in college ranks last year.
The most accurate
this
passer
past season.
Took the most sacks.
Not on him. He had the 2nd most touchdowns.
Held the ball the most. I mean, you know, you could make a lot of arguments for and against why he dropped so low in the draft.
Okay, so
I don't agree with the collusion thing where they was like, you know, everybody was like, oh, we're gonna teach him a lesson and not draft him. I think if anything, it was more so, oh, they didn't pick him. He's still in there. All right, well, something's going on. Skip him. Let's go. He might be there the next round, kind of thing. You know.
Well, the NFL, they are known as a copycat league. So if the word spread that he was showing or displaying an attitude that was any way arrogant, a lot of coaches don't deem that as a player worthy to be drafted or as a coveted pick. Overall, outside of Cam Ward, this was not expected to be a great quarterback class. But come on, the Browns drafted Dillard, what was his name? Dillon before him, and he's nowhere near the player that
as accomplished
Shador was. Right. So I mean, it has a smell there, you know, like they deaded him in the water to me because they brought him back down to earth, and maybe that's a lesson that's well deserved because even he had to admit that he could have handled his interviews better. Another point is that he did not show up to the combine. He did not perform and have an NFL day so that the teams could see him. And then from the jump, Deion Sanders was saying that he would step in and kind of sabotage any team that Shador did not want to go to or he did not want Shador to go to. So I think his effect or his presence, although he's an all-time great NFL player, Hall of Famer, coached well when he was coaching Shador in high school. Then he went to the HBCU at Jackson State and he overachieved and brought them up levels, brought that school up. And then he went to Colorado and he had success. But still, he kind of imposed too much of that bravado that he had when he was coming up in the 80s with MC Hammer and the entourage and all of that and the glistening and the gold. I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way for whatever reason, whether it's that he feels entitled and they don't have that entitlement, or they just don't like that type of bravado and they like a little bit more humility. But for sure, he definitely got served a dose of humble pie, and they made him eat the whole pie, not just a slice. They made him wait like 5 rounds. Did you hear about the call?
Deion did Shador the biggest disservice, I think, in this whole process. Number one, to your point, you know, going on, I mean, any talk show, podcast, or whatever he went on, you know, he was letting the world know, like, yeah, you know, trust me, my son ain't just going anywhere. Or, you know, basically to come out and proclaim that you are going to go against how this process has worked for the last, I don't know, however many years.
Right.
And claim that, you know, you, not the GMs or anybody else, right? You are the sole influence on where your son plays in the NFL. That's really super duper arrogant, and you can't compare that to what Eli and Archie Manning did, because Eli and Archie Manning, you know, they wasn't on. Anytime a mic got shoved in their face, they wasn't out there talking about, oh, he ain't going to the Chargers, or he ain't playing for this one. You know, they would ask him, and he'd be like, yeah, you know, well, we'll see what happens. And they showed an interview. Eli was like, they were like, Eli, so what's going to happen if the Chargers call your name? He's like, well, I don't know. I haven't been in this position before. I'll just, go up there and, accept that they, pick me, and, we'll just see what happens after that. But, I hope that they don't, but it is what it is. Now, that's something completely different from, oh, my son ain't going there.
Well, two things that happened, though. But I would have to say two things that I have to add on to that is, one, there was no social media back then. So we could not have gotten the word of what his innermost thoughts or his camp were thinking on a widespread level that could spread like wildfire. Point number two is he did get drafted to the Chargers, and they forced a trade with the Giants. So I don't know if they don't have that same bravado. The Mannings carry themselves in a different way than the Sanders family, but they did force their hand. But I think Deion's mistake was pronouncing it so vehemently or so confidently, Absolutely. But nevertheless, he's the fifth quarterback in Cleveland now. They have Joe Flacco, right? They have Kenny Pickett, and they have the quarterback they drafted before Shador, Will. It's a crowded QB room. So where do you think he lands in the rotation?
He's going to have to play for his spot, basically. It's not. I forgot who said it. James. Is it James? Not James Jones. I forgot who it was. I was watching something on YouTube not too long ago, where player was talking about when you get drafted as a high pick in the first round, or you're the consensus starter, right, the team is going to put you in every position to succeed.
Right.
They're going to give you more reps. They're going to put you in plays that favor your style of play. Right. Different things of that nature, where it's really going to be set up for you to, they're going to give you every opportunity to achieve what you're trying to achieve, which is to be the starter at that position or whatever. Correct. Whereas when you're a backup or a second or third string, you're fighting for reps. You're fighting to show what you can do. And Correct. That's where Shador fell to that spot. Now it's up to him to show that, teams were wrong for letting me fall to the fifth round. Right. So it's either he's going to do that or he's going to justify where he fell to. I mean, there's talk now that he might be cut before training camp starts.
Nah, I think. I mean, I can get them humbling him and showing him that you and your pops don't run the NFL, and teach them a lesson, dose of humble pie and all of that. But I can't go off of just talent alone. I can't see him just getting cut before training camp even starts. That would be crazy, to me. That would be crazy to me. But you heard about the son of the coach. Forgot what team that was. I think it was New Orleans. No, the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks. The Atlantic. His son pranked him like he was the GM of the Saints, and we're going to draft him. Right. And then when the pick came up and he didn't get drafted, the kid did some kind of prank and called him back, or said something like, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to wait a little while longer. Something crazy like that. Right. But you know what? Shouts out to the NFL. They find him, though.
Yo, they hit him hard. They hit him for over $250,000, dog.
The coach personally?
Altogether, the coach they got for $100,000.
Right.
The team they hit for $250,000.
Right. And I hope somebody shook that kid up, man, and told him that's not cool, man. And
he's a football player. He's a D3 football player. I mean, but here's the other thing. I didn't realize that.
That's where some of the jealousy comes into play too, because a lot of people are not the son of Deion Sanders and have the privilege, because Shador has been privileged. And one of the moves that I used to say with him doing the roly-poly, like he was Mason Puffy, was something that I thought rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, man.
Absolutely. So here's the other thing. I didn't realize they said, I was reading something today, and it said how prevalent pranking NFL draftees is. Like they said, this is nothing new, because I thought this is something that you don't do that. You don't, fuck with kids. So part of me, you don't mess with dudes like that on draft day or whatever.
Yeah,
but from what I understand, it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of NFL. Well, a lot of athletes are targets.
I understand. Cat who we drafted. I think they said he had got prank called. Abdul Carter.
Really? Well, he went number 3, so it couldn't really been
too
that
much
big of a prank.
Right. But like I said, I was reading that pranking NFL draftees is a lot more prevalent than people think. It happens every year. And now the talk is, if it wasn't Deion Sanders' son, the NFL wouldn't have stepped in. It wouldn't have been a big thing. But since it's Deion Sanders' son and the whole thing with him falling to the 5th round, the NFL kind of felt like, they didn't like what the teams were doing, as far as it seemed to be a collusion or a blackballing. So in an effort to kind of make up for it, that's why they hit the Atlanta Falcons and that defensive coordinator so hard financially. But I was reading there was a bunch of other dudes that got pranked, and NFL didn't do anything to anybody else, So
well, Shador was the most talked about. He was all over the street. That was the biggest story in the draft. Yeah, Cam Ward went first.
But you know what? Shouts out to first of all, shouts out to the coach for manning up and apologizing and accepting responsibility. And
I don't think he had a choice, bro. I don't think he had a choice.
Well, of course,
he had to do that. That was not an option for the.
Here's the thing.
For the Falcons.
What I'm saying is,
So you're saying that he didn't have to apologize?
No. He absolutely had to apologize, but
so I'm not shouting him out for him having to
taking it a step further. He got his son, and he got on the phone, and they called Deion and Shador. No, but what I was going to say is shouts out to him, but even bigger shout out to Deion and Shador.
I can't shout out the coach from the Hawks.
Even bigger shout out to Shador and Deion, because the coach said they were super gracious. He didn't sense that they were being snide or sarcastic or had any ill will and all of that. And, they were real gracious about it and real humble and forgiving, which I guess that might shock a lot of people to hear Shador and humble in the same sentence. But that was a good look that, they carried it that way, as opposed to, I don't want to hear from that kid. And,
right. That part.
Gotta talk to him and all that.
Right. Because they could have held a grudge and so forth.
Absolutely. Could have been stink about it, but they were totally the opposite of that, according to that Atlanta D coordinator. So shouts out to them.
The whole NFL draft process handled the Sanders family, and they, but one thing is that you can't judge Deion Sanders on his outward bravado or how do you perceive him publicly, because all the reports that I've heard is from people who know him intimately and closely that he is an upstanding gentleman. He'll give you the shirt off his back, and he's always trying to help out his fellow NFL players and in the NFL community. He loves Deion Sanders.
Absolutely.
He loves coaching. So you can't judge him on his bravado.
Bro, to that point that you're making, like I was like when people were talking about the NFL, they wanted to get Deion. I was like, Deion. Everybody loves Deion Sanders. Why would the NFL or any of the teams hold a grudge against Deion? And even if Deion was to come out, and even if Deion came out and said, my son ain't gonna play for certain teams and blah blah blah, I don't think that's enough to rub 32 teams the wrong way enough that they'd skip on him once, twice, 3, 4 times, just to send some kind of message to Deion.
I think they did, because why else would he fall to the 5th round? And he was projected the number 2 quarterback coming out of the draft behind Cam Ward.
We'll see.
And he fell. But shout out to Cam Ward, who went number 1 to the Titans. Absolutely. Shout out to Travis Hunter, who got picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And are you happy with the number 3 pick in Abdul Carter?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Then going down the line, Will Campbell, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, Armand Membu, Teotra McMillan, Kelvin Banks Jr., Colson Loveland, Mikael Williams. The Cowboys picked Tyler Booker, who's an offensive guard. I guess they're trying to shore up the line. But yeah, it was not an amazing draft class. There was some Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward were like the three standouts, that could join your roster and make an impact right away. Everybody else, according to the experts who follow them a lot more than we do, have said that a lot of these guys are projects, or their potential has to be brought out by the coaching and then going to training camps and the pre-training camps and all of that. So we're gonna move on from the NFL draft, NFL helmet to helmet, and we can get down to the round ball. Yes, sir. K Cash in the building.
What's up, good, my brother?
Saluto, Kato.
Kato Cash. Not much, man. We getting right into it. It's been a while. We getting right into round ball around the world, the NBA playoffs.
Hold up. Before we go to that, Cash, since you're here, real quick, I know we just got off the NFL draft and everything, but what is your opinion? What's your opinion on why Shedeur fell the way he did?
I ain't gonna lie. From seeing, he went to Colorado. It's not like he was in SEC or Big Ten school. That's number one. I think they kind of overhyped him because a lot of the relationships Deion has with a lot of the media personalities, they don't want to piss him off. And they wanted to humble his pops because his pops is trying to act like he wasn't going to play for certain. His pops is doing a lot of media, which would have put pressure on the GM and the coach. And they didn't want that type of smoke. So they had to do something to humble him. And there goes the 5th round. Because that dude they picked over him wasn't a better player than him.
Right.
But they just didn't want to deal with that pressure. That's just my personal opinion.
Great point.
Also, you have if the coach, the head coach of the team's not doing well, there was always a narrative of trying to bring Deion Sanders in.
Great point, bro. Great point.
Yeah. And I think also if his son would have went and kind of played for somebody else, it would have kind of proved that he could have played outside of a catered system. Ever since he was in high school, ever since he was in the Snoop Dogg League, he been playing for his pops. And he never got out of that. So it's like an unfair label that kind of would get thrust on him. Even with the Manning boys, they didn't play for their pops. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So on top of all of that, it was just a lot to do with it. And then, as you know, they didn't want to empower the black man anyway. So, there's always
that undertone.
There's always an 800-pound gorilla in the room.
I wouldn't say that the whole occurrence was completely
that nobody
racial,
wants to talk about.
But there was an undertone. There was an undertone.
Man. They blackball Colin Kaepernick, so it does happen. Let's not act like it doesn't happen. It does happen.
Exactly.
But again, the one thing I would say is I don't care how arrogant you are, or rather, they don't care how arrogant you are, or what your sexual orientation, or how many bodies you got.
They do.
How many chicks you beat up, or none of that.
They do care how arrogant you are.
If you can play, they're gonna. If you can play, man, a team. NFL got a job for you.
Those are 32 billionaires, man. You rub one of them the wrong way, it spreads. They sit in a room with just 32 of them, controlling everything. So
yeah, but not
hold on, let me finish.
But not if you rush for 120 yards a game and 2 touchdowns.
Well,
I promise you, they'll deal with that arrogance, and that's my
Colin Kaepernick.
And that's my point. That's my point with Colin Kaepernick.
He was playing.
That's Cash's point.
But that ain't the first. That ain't the first time that a player has been blackballed or the other teams have colluded against them. So I'm saying it's
Lamar Jackson with that guaranteed contract. How he making less guaranteed money than Kirk Cousins? Just because his mother was his agent. Like they try to make always this innuendo if they're not taking a piece off of you and stuff. Once you start cutting out the middleman, and Shador is another one, he didn't have an agent neither. You always see that undertone. When they're not making money off your back, if they ain't getting 10% or whatever, there's problems. This is a problem. That's a problem.
Right.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel had a drug problem and all of that. They
Right.
still picked him number 21.
My point.
Right. But he didn't have the cachet that the Sanders kid has, man. Johnny Manziel was an undersized quarterback, but he was a white hype. He was a white hype down where did he play at Texas? Where
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M,
Yeah.
right? So he was hyped up, man. So like again, if
The man
Johnny
was running from
Manziel,
police.
if Johnny Manziel was of a different skin tone, he might not have gotten drafted.
He wouldn't have got drafted. He wouldn't have got drafted at all.
Because
Mhm.
he was running from police. What about the dude who wore the gas mask? What about him?
But I was an offensive lineman, but we always consider the other players in other positions a little different. But if you just keep it on quarterbacks, like they never had anybody come in with the cachet and as far as
Bravado.
the following that Shador was getting. Shador was making more than the assistant coaches that was going to be his quarterback coach and things like that. And a
Right.
lot of that stuff kind of rubbed them the wrong way. Just like you notice the black offensive coordinators never get the head coaching jobs. It's the same
Right.
thing.
Right.
All of a sudden, we got to go get a Mike Verbal. We going to go get a defensive person now.
Yeah.
That we got black offensive coordinators now.
What about how many black head coaches? Tomlin in the NFL, and that's the Rooney
This
family.
past season or right now?
Right now, the Rooney rules, and that's and he coaches for the Steelers.
Tomlin,
Yeah.
you got Tampa Bay coach. You got they fired they fired your boy
They fired
Antonio
Salah.
Pierce.
They fired Pierce.
Fired
too.
Salah, they
Yeah.
fired Pierce.
Salah's black.
Yeah,
Salah's
well,
black.
he's not white. He's like
Yeah, I get it.
Arabic
I
or
was
something
just
like
being
that.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Guy down in Texas, in Houston. In
Oh
Houston,
yeah. What's his name
Ryans,
again?
D'Amico
Yeah.
Ryans.
right?
D'Amico Ryan.
And
Yeah.
what
So that's
about
cool.
and what about Florida? I mean, not Florida. What about Miami got the white dude. They did have Florio before that. But
Flores he's the linebacker coach for the Vikings now.
but he was
Yeah.
the Miami head. Yeah. But
Right.
so there was 4 black head coaches this past season. 5 if you want to count Robert Saleh. If you want to throw
Right.
him in that mix.
Right. So now we're down to what, 2? Tomlin, D'Amico
Right now.
Ryans.
3.
And Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
who used to coach the Jets.
Yep.
Tampa Bay coach. Who your man the other coach basically gave him the job, make sure he got the job. That's
Right.
the only way they could get in.
Right, because he used to run the defense for Tampa when they won the chip. Right.
When they won the chip.
Gotcha.
And it's either him or Leftwich. And they threw Leftwich out the back door.
All right. Ty said this, and we're going to put a bow on this, that Shador is rumored not even to make the he's going to get cut in pre-training camp. He ain't even going to make the full cut. He's going to get cut in hell week.
They might not even make him play a preseason game because then people going to see too much.
But you think he's going to be on the Browns roster for the upcoming season?
I don't know.
Not if he don't beat out that other kid that they drafted. He's got to basically win the starting job to stay on the team, though.
Yeah.
No, well, they usually carry like 3 because they got Joe Flacco, right?
And they got Kenny Pickett, who they traded for.
Right. So that's true. They carry more than 2 quarterbacks. So he has a possibility to to make.
I think they're gonna try to put him on the practice squad. If he don't take that practice squad position, they gonna cut him. That's what they probably gonna do.
The other thing too is they might try to turn him into a hybrid, where he's a wide out.
Nah, he's not fast enough. He's not fast enough. He is not fast enough.
Who's that?
Not all wide outs.
Any other.
He could run them slants, but he's kind of thin built. So
Dion ain't gonna have that. My boy ain't no receiver.
So he gonna play in the
quarterback. Either he throwing the ball or he ain't playing.
he gonna go to the UFL, huh?
Hey.
All right. So we gonna see in the upcoming season. It's gonna be interesting. So moving on to round ball around the world, going to the Eastern Conference, Cleveland Cavaliers win the series. They sweep. They brought out the brooms on the Heat. thoughts on that? What's the word on that? What's the story, man?
They
What was
made
the
every
hap-
trade. They made every trade they were supposed to trade. They fired your man Bickerstaff, who's coaching the Pistons right now. They brought in Kenny Atkins, who was a quality coach. Remember, he got shown the door in New Jersey when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving showed up. They showed him the door. So I think they just got a good coach. Plus that trade in the middle of the year they got for DeAndre Hunter kind of solidified the team. And everybody kind of knows their role, and they haven't really dealt with any major injuries this year.
It was a big sweep. It was the largest deficit in playoff history the Cavaliers imposed on the Heat. I know Pat Riley is fuming. The guy with the silver hair is steaming right now.
That's why Jimmy Butler wanted to get out of there, man. He didn't want to see this embarrassment.
Do you think it's time for Pat Riley to step down?
I don't know about that, but like they can't win every year, man. Dude's got to make some mistakes. It might be that time. It might not be, unless you identify somebody that could take that team in house, because they really don't like hiring people outside, as you can see by all their assistant coaches, the front office, and everything. Unless there's somebody they can identify inside, then it's not going to be, unless they bump up Spoelstra like what they did in Boston with Brad Stevens.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that. They lost the last two games by it was 124 to 87 in game 3 and 138 to 83 in game 4. Is that a testament to the Cavaliers and how good they are, or the Heat and their lack of effort?
The Heat roster is flawed, man. They your boy got exposed. I wouldn't even say really got exposed.
Tyler Hero?
Yeah, Tyler Hero. You know, he's
not. He looked like the only one that was balling. I think Bam Adebayo got exposed more than Tyler Hero.
I've been saying since last season that Bam is overrated, dog.
Bam is a burger.
No. He's not a burger. He's a good player, man. But
the poor man's Jokic.
They put Bam in the conversation
really
when they talk about top centers in the league and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, he's not even a center, first of all. Son is a power forward, and they
dude
him
from
out
Houston
of
is a poor man's Jokic.
Who Sengun?
Yeah,
Sengun.
Alpern Sengun, the surprising
I like him.
Second place in the West Rockets.
Yes,
I like him.
Yes,
I like
sir.
Sengun. He the only one on that team that was balling for the whole series. I like him. He's not scared of nothing. Arguing with Draymond and everything.
Historic sweep. Any closing thoughts on that series?
Cavs look like world beaters, man. And I know everybody try and discredit them and just talk about who they playing. It's like, yo, wait till they face somebody in the playoffs. I don't know what Indiana got for them, man, but I hope they give them a good series, man.
They 10 deep. I don't think Indiana gonna have much for them because of their big men, the Twin Towers. The Twin Towers down low. Indiana don't got nothing for that. Turner is not gonna be doing nothing close to what he was doing in the other series.
Your man Garland used to play for the Nets.
Yeah, bro. The Afro Man.
Yeah.
Afro Man, bro.
Taking it back to the 70s.
Yeah. Jared Allen.
Jared Allen.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They putting in that work. And
Mobley putting in the work too.
Up. Yes, sir. Yes,
Mobley putting in the work. They got Hunter off the bench. And Garland finally playing. He got his roster dreads. So he probably channeling the energy of Ja. And he's balling. He's balling.
Moving along to the Boston Celtics win over the Orlando Magic 3-2. They won a couple games, which was more
I told you that was going to happen, son. That's my
more
Orlando
than they
team,
were expected.
We got no offense, man. It's just Paolo and the poor man's Wagner. That's it. That's it. There's no offense over there, man. So we got to make that trade for Ja Morant. That's all I'm waiting for this summer.
It was a gentleman's sweep, but in a couple of games, the Magic seemed like they had a formula. Well, taking it back to the regular season, they were playing the Celtics just about the same. Like they are an up-and-coming team that can eventually catch up to the likes of the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Cavaliers. Any thoughts on that series? Your man Tatum hurt his wrist and then he had to come back. I was impressed by the play of Porzingis. You know, do Knicks fans regret letting him go?
Nah, he's
No.
gonna get hurt. He's gonna get hurt.
Not for the money that he was making and his availability.
Right.
Nah.
He got hurt in the series.
He gets hurt. He gets hurt every year. That's not a regret at all. It's
okay.
He played with house money. He's like the fifth man on the squad. They look to score or something, man.
Yeah.
You don't get no double teams. They be leaving him open half the time. Like,
right. And again, you got to think he was the man in New York.
yeah.
Right.
So being the man in New York
is different.
Him and Melo, but being the man in New York and then going somewhere else, and now he's on his 4th team, 15.
Right.
You know, he could settle into a more comfortable role where, you know, I could just let those dudes shine, let those dudes get most of the attention,
right,
and get in where I fit in. And before you know it, I done got a quiet, you know, eight. I got a quiet 19 and 7 with 4 3-pointers or something like that in 3 blocks. You know,
yeah. And
I think
don't have
that's.
to worry.
I think that's the
don't have
biggest
to worry
thing
about getting the ball at crunch time either.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Like, he played with house money every night, bro. And then if Drew Holiday is there and Pritchard is hot, you haven't got to worry about nothing. He's gonna be wide open most of the time, man.
Right. So Celtics, do they have the most underrated duo in the NBA in Tatum and Brown?
Yeah. Brown, the only finals MVP with no endorsement deal. My man Brown, one of the highest paid players, bro.
Your man Tatum got no burn in the Olympics. A very little burn. Yeah, I think for 2 championship caliber players, they don't get the respect that they deserve, man.
Yeah, you got to play the Rodney Dangerfield for them, bro. No respect.
No respect.
I think Tatum gets the respect. They just don't talk about him as much because dude is just business, yo. He just get in and handle his business. And I won't say he make it look easy, but yeah, he make it look easy.
He was sitting right next to Halliburton in the Olympics, man. And that was no respect. That was no respect for Chimp. And they just won the chip. They didn't even put Brown on the squad.
Yeah, that's why Steve Kerr ain't gonna be coaching the team.
They put White on the squad before they put
that's crazy. That's White.
That was crazy.
That's a super duper level of disrespect.
Yes, sir.
They know White wasn't going to play when he wasn't logging no minutes. That's why.
But they gave him burn too. Moving along to the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks leading the series 3-2. What's the update, Ty?
We're down. What's the score? I was just checking. I was just watching it. I know he was down at the half after being up by as much as 13 points at one point.
Right.
No, I gotta update. This ain't right. It's still showing the halftime score, but halftime score was 59-61.
Okay, that's not bad. Knicks took game 1, 123-112. Pistons took game 2, 100-94. Knicks took game 3, 118-116. Knicks took game 4, 94-93. Game 5, Pistons took 106-103. They've, besides game 1 and sort of game 2, which I think the Knicks let slip away in that second half, in that third and fourth quarter, they've been closely contested games. So who do you think pulls this out?
I think the Knicks might pull it out, but I think it's going to be 7. But your man Kate Cunningham looking like Penny Hardaway before the injury, number 1. And the Knicks, I don't think they had enough time playing together, meshing the skills and talented players together. They look like they don't trust each other sometimes on the court. And you see points of the game where Cat either disappears, Anunoby doing too much, or Jalen Brunson doing the one-man army when he got other people there or even on the bench. Like, I think at the end of the day, man, if they lose this series, Tibbs is going to get fired. And they got to do something with Bridges. Bridges got to play like at least when he was in New Jersey.
Right.
He's not putting up the effort that you should get from somebody that you traded 3 first-round picks for.
But
It's just what I'm noticing.
To a point that Ty made is that a guard like Jalen Brunson, who's so ball dominant, maybe they end up standing around looking a lot of times. And as you mentioned, Ty, they don't have a continuity to their offense. Like a lot of times, cats are just standing around. Or
everybody is hurt this year.
That's an indictment on Tibbs too, man. Because I was watching the game the other day, man, and one thing I said was, why does this dude keep dribbling to half court and then stopping like right in the corner of the out of bounds line and the half court line? Like a lot of times that'll give dudes an opportunity to come and trap him. Right. And one thing that I've seen this season, or that everybody has seen this season, Jalen Brunson is not a strong ball handler. His dribbles, like he's quick, you know, he's got sharp movements or whatever, but I done seen
he don't got handles. Yeah,
he don't got
nobody. He don't got handles. Yeah.
No catch.
I agree with that.
Nobody on the team has handles. Nobody.
Handles. You're right.
Cat don't got no handles. Like stop with the cat handling stuff. Cat don't have no handles. OG
and
don't have no
try.
handles.
He always bumbling the ball, man.
Deuce McBride is a slot machine. McCall is afraid of contact. But the biggest indictment on the team, or the biggest to me,
Cameron Payne is the one-arm bandit. He only go to one side.
Yeah, but Deuce only dribble with one arm. And he's not even quick. Like he'll get up the court and rather than take it to the hole, he'll dribble it back out. Like, all right, let me get rid of the rock or something like that. My whole thing is forget all of that other stuff. There's no way your team wins a championship when your 2 best players are also your 2 weakest defenders, and they both start. Start, man. It's
Jalen tries.
He's not that bad at it.
Jalen takes charges, man. If he ain't taking a charge, he don't lead the league in steals or none of that stuff. He don't play passing
no
lanes
deflections. Well.
He don't trail his man on screens. He's quick.
That's what I'm saying.
And there's times where you see him in limbo. Like there's a switch or something like that. And Jalen is in limbo. Like almost every play that I've seen this season where somebody gets an uncontested layup, you see Jalen standing there like, yo, who was supposed to have him? Like it's always a common denominator. You know?
With Jalen, he puts out a lot of energy on offense because he's dribbling the air out the ball. So he don't have the energy he have left or for it. Right. And I think that if they had a more cohesive offense, a motion offense, some dribble handoffs, something to get the ball out of his hand so everything isn't so dominant on him handling the ball at the last 10 seconds of the shot clock. Because it's too much of him and Cat. It's like they don't have no organization to their offense, and then they give the ball to him or Cat in the last 10 seconds and be like, all right, do something.
Right.
Yo, I'm going to tell you, this team, in my opinion, is not better than last year's team as constituted. It's not better than last year's. They score more, but outside of scoring, there's not a better team, yo. We had a more balanced team last year. We had a more aggressive team last year.
But you know what to say?
Having not being able to retain iHeart forced the hand. It was like a domino effect. It made everything else happen. Once we ain't have iHeart and had to get a center, and Minnesota made Cat available.
Well, Mitchell Robinson hasn't been.
Your man Robinson was supposed to take over. They gave him a contract.
Robinson was hurt.
You can't foresee that, though. You can't foresee
exactly.
He's always hurt, bro.
Exactly.
He's always hurt.
All right, but to your point, even with all that being said, if Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart were in Game 5 at the end of the game, they only lost by 3 points. After saying all of this that we just said, they only lost by 3 points, and that was on Tibbs that he did not get them back in the game after the two minutes. Yes, I understand they were hobbled a little bit, but when isn't Jalen Brunson hobbling around at some point in the game? And Josh Hurt, unfortunately, he got low bridged and he fell, but they were ready to come back into the game, and they had a foul to give. So that's on Tibbs. They were like, even in the Garden, everybody was screaming foul, foul, and they didn't foul. So that's coaching. That's on the coaching right there, and they lost by 3.
That's absolutely on the coach. But I promise you ask any diehard Knicks fan, and they will tell you, especially right now. Like, matter of fact, don't ask right now because the opinion would be jaded
based on the playoffs,
based on what's happening to us right now with Detroit. But I promise you, I've said this from before the All-Star break. You know, I think Cat might be a better fit for the way that Jalen plays. But last year's team was definitely a more dangerous team than this one. Its injuries was why we didn't go to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Period. Right. Julius hurt. Jalen getting hurt.
Limitations. He has his limitations physically. And he gets hurt a lot, and he takes a lot of punishment.
And one of his limitations,
does have to go through that. He hasn't played through that.
And one of his limitations is a coach that don't know how to rein him in.
Right, and he's not a high flyer. He can make great shots. He won Mr. Clutch for this year. He makes great shots, but physically, when he has to play a physical guard, he has limitations, and he has to, even when he scores, he has to work so hard to score. Like, as you said, Cash. On the other end, he's got
no juice left.
He ain't got no juice left. Yeah. All right. So what's the update?
Last word on that.
61. Knicks up by 4 with 10 minutes to go in the third.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. And last word on that. The Ty, I was talking to Reed about. They need to go get the Florida head coach to get a decent offense in there, man. Some motion, some offense in there, man. They need somebody to do the offense.
I don't know that that'll happen. I don't know that that'll happen with Tibbs on the bench, because I think if it was just that simple of Tibbs needs somebody more creative on offense, they would have did that last season, or they would have kept.
They gave Brunson Pops the damn coaching job. They gave Brunson Pops the coaching job. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what Dante was saying. That's what happened when you let his dad run the team.
Yeah, that's why they got him on the cheap. They hired the dad to be the coach. They got your man Brunson on the cheap. Your man Dolan wheeling and dealing again, bro.
Gotcha.
Wheeling and dealing again.
Also, there was controversy in Game 4 where they didn't call that foul against Josh Hart.
Yeah.
Versus on when he was defending Tim Hardaway. But to me, that was he wasn't even trying to go at him. He was trying to get out of the way. To me, that was incidental contact, and they officiated that game very loosely. They let them play. So I don't agree with the people who say that he had to call it, but the officials admitted at the end, after so much pressure, that it was a foul. But what happened to all the other fouls during the course of that game? They weren't calling a lot of fouls.
A lot of the Knicks coaching trouble, they haven't had a strong assistant coach since Van Gundy. Somebody to pull the coach aside so they stop making some of these mental errors. Throw a little something in somebody's ear. Offensive play, out of bounds play. None of their assistant coaches ever get hired anywhere else, bro. It's like a brain drain all the time.
They second in line assistant coach might win a chip this year, yo. Johnny Bryant.
Johnny Bryant. Oh yeah, what in Utah?
He went to Cleveland.
Oh, with Cleveland.
Yeah.
Nah, he's the coach. He's not the coach of Utah.
Nah, he's the assistant to.
He's the head assistant to Atkins.
Yep.
But Atkins is a good coach, man. We knew that from his New Jersey Nets days.
Yo, I wanted Atkins in New York.
That's why they picked him up at Golden State so fast.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good quality coach, so he knows when to yield to the assistant to give that word in his ear to let him see something that he may not be seeing because he's the head coach and stuff. It's just so much headstrongness from Tibbs, man.
Yeah, let's move on, man. It's starting to piss me off.
All right, the Pacers over the Bucks 4-1. They handled them. Of course, Dame Lillard. After Dame Lillard went down, we knew what the outcome of that was going to be. It was inevitable.
It wasn't I was just reading anyway, bro.
I was just reading something. Yo, they might have to trade Giannis. They might have to trade Giannis, yo.
Right.
And why they fighting my man Adrian Griffith, bro? For what?
This is I think, poetic justice for that injustice that they did to Adrian Griffin, man.
Yeah, Doc Rivers loses another playoff series. Big surprise. They shouldn't have fired Adrian Griffin, bro.
Once Dame
That's
Lillard
where
went
it all
down, you
starts
knew it
with.
was a wrap. You knew it was a wrap. They didn't have the firepower to play versus the Pacers and that running gun style that they have. They didn't have enough offense. Giannis couldn't do it on his own. And then Portis is more of like him and what's the other twin name?
Lopez.
Right, Lopez.
No,
like,
but
who are they playing? Who's gonna play with the Pacers besides Giannis?
Yeah, Lillard been
with Lillard.
Since he had the blood clot. Since he had the blood clot problem the last month of the season, he wasn't coming back on full strength anyway. That team is old. That's the oldest team in the Eastern Conference. They done, yo. They should have been put out to pasture last year. They got no draft picks for the next 5 years.
Right. So the story is, as you mentioned, that they are going to trade Giannis, a la the Bucks in 1975, trading Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And then
Funny thing, guys,
on in the drought. They went on a 20-year drought.
Think of it this way, guys. If Kevin Durant's foot was behind the three-point line, they wouldn't even have won that championship. Think about that for a minute, bro.
Yep.
If his foot wasn't behind that line, they wouldn't even have won that championship.
If it wasn't on the line.
They would have been bounced in the first round to pass.
And wasn't Kyrie hurt? Kyrie was hurt during that series too.
Yeah.
And Kyrie was hurt. And then Harden, I don't know. He's like in the playoffs, like wishy-washy, man.
Did they have Harden at that time? He wasn't still in Philly?
Harden. Nah, I think they had. No, matter of fact, he was in Philly still.
He was in Philly still.
It was in Philly.
They had Ben Simmons, and he was hurt.
Yeah, they had. Nah, they had the next dude. No, they got Ben Simmons.
They had Ben Simmons. Yeah,
they got Ben Simmons when they traded Harden. That was before Harden had it. They had my boy Mike James on the team.
But during that season, they made an in-season trade, right? Because once Kyrie got hurt, Harden stopped putting in the effort. Yeah. And KD was carrying the team like basically on his shoulders. But nevertheless,
that was the year. I don't think Harden was on that team. I think you're right because Harden sat out the preseason before he got traded to the next year. That was the year before Harden had gotten there. And they had your man clueless Steve Nash as the coach.
Right.
Who Durant and Kyrie wanted, supposedly.
Yeah. They walked Kenny Atkins out the door after Kenny Atkins had your man, what's your man that used to be the Lakers point guard? An all-star, almost an all-star. Nah. The other dude, your man Russell. Had D'Angelo Russell looking good. Yeah, bro. That's what I said. They should have never got rid of Atkins. That was the whole mistake right there.
That's true. Indiana Pacers. Now, interestingly enough, Game 5, John Halliburton runs up on Giannis. Thoughts on that? What's the word on that? What was the haps with that?
His pops is out of line. His pops should have been banned for the whole playoffs. So what he did, he ran up on him. Straight up and down. You can't.
Well, they made him stay home. They made him stay home.
They said he won't be at none of the Cleveland. He won't be at none of the games for the Cleveland series
for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, man. Usher probably knock him out.
He could have got banned for life.
That was a straight clown move because at the end of the day, think about
you're not a player.
How you would feel if somebody ran up on your son after he lost a playoff game. How would you feel?
You're not a player, bro.
But he plays his position. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like players gonna talk, they talk back and forth. That's basketball. You understand? But at the end of the day, the best team won. Move on with yourself. And like, come on, you're not even a coach. You're just in the stands and you ran onto the court and went beak to beak with Giannis.
I'm all for supporting you.
And the view was so funny because it's like Giannis is looking down at him and he's going nose to nose. Like that was crazy.
Yeah,
that's one of the craziest things I've seen.
I think that's one of the biggest problems in sports, man, is family that just get too involved, yo. That get a sense of entitlement because of who they son, brother, whatever is.
So appropriate punishment appropriate punishment. Let's say for some chance the Pacers make it to the Eastern Finals or to the NBA Finals. Should he be allowed to attend?
They already punished him. He's
no,
not.
I'm
going
saying
to
he
the
said for the
series.
foreseeable future. Is that adequate? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think it's adequate.
Is that an adequate punishment?
Go ahead, bro.
I think it's adequate. Should have never did it. That's just reckless, man. You getting too caught up in the game. Remember, you're not a player on the court.
Right.
You should not be. You should be watching the action, not in the action.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You gotta be watching the action, not in the action, and stuff. And on top of that, it could have caused a real riot or something because those teams do not like each other. Those teams don't like each other and stuff. Like, you gotta relax.
Somebody could have ran up on dude, yo.
And shout out to the Pacers, man. The Pacers is balling. We really never step back and give them their prop. Consistently balling, and they run like 10 deep. Shout out TJ McConnell, bro. They bench point guard. Everybody on the team was putting in work. Neverhard, Naismith. They have a whole bunch. They got the no-name gang, and they put in work.
That is the calling card of every good team in the playoffs right now. Every dominant team is they got a deep ass bench.
Oh yeah, and I think I got
a Porter Junior sighting. They rotate
and they have
also.
Yeah, and a Porter Junior sighting on the Bucks. Your man Porter Jr. returned from the domestic, the DOA. He returns as a bench person for the Bucks.
But he was lighting it up that one game. He had that one mishap at the end of the game, which was a big mistake, which is a crucial error. But he was balling though.
He's the poor man's Nick Young. Shout out to Nick Young, bro. He's the poor man's Nick Young. Yeah.
Where's Nick Young now?
He's on the podcast with your man Gilbert Arenas.
All right. So any thoughts? Any thoughts on the
Pacers Boston series? I think the Pacers could win 2 games. I don't think they don't have the veteran. And they can't go pound for pound with the Celtics if Drew Holiday is playing. If Drew Holiday is not playing, then they do have a chance to push it to 7. But with Drew Holiday, if Drew Holiday comes back, they're gonna be smoked pizza, man.
Didn't they play in the Eastern Conference Finals last year versus the Celtics?
Yeah, and they got smoked out. 4-1, smoked out.
Okay. So you think it's gonna be 4-2 this year?
If they lucky, if they balling, they should have learned something from last year. I just think that they don't got enough for the Brown and Tatum combination. They don't got no answer for that on Boston. I mean on the Pacers. Because even though they have 10 deep, their strength is not really at that guard forward position.
Gotcha. Todd, what do you think, fella?
I don't think Indiana got nothing for Boston. Boston, shouts out to OKC, for being the juggernaut that they've pretty much been this season. But I think one thing about Boston, they got a completely balanced team, man. Like everybody on their team played both sides of the ball.
Right. Yep, Derek White.
Also,
even
the support players, the role players, the support guys.
Horford has a resurgent career now.
They play good fundamental basketball. They hit open shots and they defend.
They kill you with threes too.
They hit open shots and they defend, and then they got 3 cats on the starting 5 who you could give them the rock and clear out and let them go get you a bucket.
They gotta. I hope they testing Horford, man. Your man is still playing ball. 20 years left. It seems like just the other day he was on the back-to-back national championship team.
Just talking about that earlier. Yeah,
and he's still in the league, bro. And he's still in the league. Everybody else that he played with is long gone, yo.
Right.
Long gone.
Well, he has a resurgence in his career because he doesn't have to be the man anymore. Right, so
he never was really the man on Atlanta.
Yeah, I was about to say Horford really was never really the man. But
on Atlanta, there wasn't him.
He wasn't the man. Remember they had Corver was an all-star, had made one all-star team.
Joe
They had your
Johnson.
man Joe Johnson. They
But
had
then Joe Johnson
ISO Joe.
retired.
So Joe.
But then Joe
ISO
Johnson
Joe
retired.
retired. He went after the Hawks. Remember he had a couple of good years in New Jersey or in Brooklyn. He had a couple of good years in Brooklyn.
Right,
So,
right. Well, yeah, he did leave
Horford,
Atlanta and went to Brooklyn.
Yeah, Horford really never had the mantle, and think he in the Lazarus pit, as you always say.
But
Jeff,
he was in the
he's in the
role. He
Lazarus
wasn't a
pit.
role player though, like he is now.
Nah,
Is
but
Horford
still,
cracked the starting five with the Celtics? Unless it's due to injury. He's
Nah,
not.
but he's the first man off the bench.
Right. That's
No,
what I'm
doesn't
saying.
he start? Well, no, he's starting because
Porzingis
KP was
hurt.
KP was hurt. I'm
But
trying to
nah,
think.
didn't he play through that?
Who's the? Oh, that's right. It is. I was about to say who's the power forward.
So their starting five is Tatum.
They play Tatum at the 4.
Tatum, Brown,
Tatum at the
White.
4. Yep.
White,
Tatum, White, Holiday, Brown,
Wow.
and KP.
and KP.
And KP, yeah.
And KP is
And
hurt.
Horford
So
come off
right
the
now,
bench,
Horford, Horford come off the
Okay.
bench.
All right, moving to the Western Conference. As you mentioned, Oklahoma City Thunder wins series versus the Grizzlies 4-0.
Yeah.
That was
they
another.
smoked them.
That was another
Smoked them
match.
like a hand.
Yeah, that was another. Another match.
I think the Grizzlies wild out for firing their coach, but like
Right.
when a couple of weeks ago they fired the coach for no reason. Like he wasn't. He's not the one who brought the gun to the stadium like John Morant did. Like they try to blame everything on him, and the fact that they made the playoffs the last couple of years was due to him. But true say, the Grizzlies fired their other coach when they had Jaeger was the coach before that for no reason also. So the Grizzlies always have championship or Western Conference dreams, but they not even getting out the first round. They don't even give a good series, man.
They're gonna trade Ja. They're gonna do the Ja how they did Luka.
Really? You think so?
Yeah.
Well,
they got to.
If he
We
continues,
need him in Orlando. We need him in Orlando, man. We need him in Orlando. We need that, man.
That's the type of player that would definitely help out Brunson in New York. So bring it
Ja?
on.
Nah. You can't have him. They don't play enough defense to play together.
Yeah.
They don't play enough defense to play together.
But he's a slasher, though. That's what the Knicks need is a slasher. If you look at the Knicks, they have no slashers on that team.
That'll be like Deontay Murray. And what's his name again? Remember when Deontay Murray, the experiment in Atlanta with Deontay Murray and Trae Young? You can't.
And that's one thing we would talk. It happens though, but he's a slasher though. One thing that we all could agree upon is that way too many teams or way too many players are chucking up threes instead of making sure that they move the rock around and get the best shot possible. The mid-range game. That's why a slasher like Anthony Edwards as well is killing cats. Even when he is not having a great shooting night like he did last night, he's still affecting the game. But
I think Bane would do better in New York than John Morant. If they could find a way to get Desmond Bane, I think he could do better as a partner to Brunson, but they would have to get rid of Bridges.
I think you need a player that's not going to stand around and be like a deer in headlights and just, Ja takes it to the rim, bro. He takes it to the rim. So, yeah, it is what it is, though. It is what it is. Moving along, how you see the Thunder handling the Grizzlies in that series, man? Was that more a testament to how good the Thunder are, or how bad the Grizzlies are?
It's a different level. It's a different level of basketball. When you watch it OKC.
Like we shouldn't even be having this conversation. We shouldn't even be talking about this.
Man. We can't. There's nothing to say about
that.
We have
There's nothing to say about that.
There's nothing to say about that, man.
There's nothing to say
Total
about
domination.
that. Hold on. It's the same thing that happened in the East with the Cavaliers.
Yeah, we ain't stay on them too long either.
They had Jared Jackson handling the ball way too much. And he ain't supposed to be dribbling the ball. He's not even in the post or nothing. He dribbling at the top of the key like he's Kevin Garnett.
But that was a
And
win for the Grizzlies.
It just
to
wasn't
fire
ready.
Their coach. Gotcha.
It happens like that. They fired their coach, man.
All right, moving along. Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets. Golden State is up 3-2.
The Rockets ain't ready, man. They're about to go out in the next game.
I don't know.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
They trying to muck it up, man, and that'll only go but so far. Referee's going. If it gets to a game 7 and the Rockets want to try and roughhouse and all that, because that's what they've been doing, the refs ain't gonna let that go, yo.
LeBron was eliminated. They need a ticket draw. That's all I'm saying.
You jump in series. We're just on the Warriors.
That's a great point.
No, but what I'm saying, they're not gonna let Curry and them get out the playoffs because LeBron is eliminated. They need a ticket. They need some tickets. They need eyeballs on the screen. That's all I'm saying.
The Rockets are playing them tough though, and besides Draymond Green, the Warriors don't really have anyone in their team that plays that style of ball well. Like Draymond loves it. He loves that style of ball. And
Draymond should be on the Rockets, yo.
You don't.
He should be on the Rockets. That's exactly the style of play, yo.
Who's going to enforce? Who's going to enforce for Curry then? Because you got Jimmy Butler, but he's a.
If it wasn't for Butler, Rockets would have swept Golden State. This series would be over.
I agree.
Another thing too is the number 2 pick the other year, Smith. It's on the Rockets. Your man be disappearing a whole lot, yo. A whole lot of disappearing, yo. I mean, forget he was the number 2 pick a couple of years ago, and he played like he invisible on the court most of the time.
The invisible man.
I think it's Jabari Smith.
Yeah,
play invisible a lot of the time.
It happens. So who you think wins tonight, Game 6? Houston and Golden State. They take them out?
Golden State. Yeah, Golden State.
Gotcha. Golden State. Moving along to the series that you want to talk about. The Timberwolves over the Lakers. Let's go. They took them out in a gentleman's sweep 4-1.
The giant killer. Your man, Anthony Edwards, be putting the OGs to sleep.
That is a story. That is a story.
Rocking them to sleep.
That is a story.
All the OGs to sleep, yo.
That is a story. And to his credit, he plays fearlessly, man. And he plays on both sides of the ball.
And he plays on both sides of the ball.
Same intensity. Because last night he didn't shoot well. He was like 5 for like 15 or 5 for 19. Some bad off shooting night. But he still got like 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals. So he's a well-rounded player.
Anthony Edwards, the man who leaps bounds, the man who pays off baby mothers. Not only does he do that, he also plays defense and offense. And when LeBron James try to roll up on his knee, it don't matter. Your man is like the new age Dominique Wilkins, doing what Dominique couldn't do, bro. He fears nobody, bro. Fears nobody.
Getting comparisons to being Jordan S at the age of 23. So he's definitely has a bright future in the league. I think he's gonna win a chip within the next 3 years.
He got your man. He got you. And the thing I like about him is he inspires greatness from his teammates. Right. Rudy Gobert, 27 and 24 the other night.
Yeah, he turned into Wilt Chamberlain on him.
He should have. Rudy Gobert could have had doing things like that. It couldn't come out with Donovan Mitchell, but he did it for your boy. He did it for your boy Anthony Edwards, bro.
Anthony Edwards, he elevates his game to another level. He has that Kobe-esque, Jordan-esque type of killer instinct, man, and he's gonna do whatever it takes to take your heart and just demoralize the other team.
His teammates want to play with him. Every night you see somebody, a Reed, a McDaniels, a Randall.
Randall dropped like 23 last night.
Putting in work because they like to play with that young fella, bro. They like to play with him. He inspires them to play greater. because he plays on both sides of the ball. You see his energy, whether it's the first quarter when he getting jerked on fouls, or it's the last quarter when he just putting in work. You got to respect that. And they don't have a big name coach or anything. They got Bill Finch's son as the coach, bro.
Right. Well, that's a legacy coach right there. So the Los Angeles Lakers now, we understand that they have their issues. What was the biggest reason for their demise?
No size and
no size.
40 minutes from a 40-year-old. How you got LeBron James, 40 years old, playing 40 minutes? No breaks, no
How you
miles,
go
no
a whole
miles.
half with no subs?
Right, game
bro.
4, no subs at all. And he didn't even try to play his bigs. That's a bad sign. He has no confidence in his bigs. And then outside of Luka and LeBron, you know, AR-15 could have. They said he had a terrible series, you know. But of course, once again, the narrative is Luka being out of shape.
Why? It's a coach. The coach, Luka didn't not play the 40 minutes, didn't tell them not to play 40 minutes, LeBron and the rest of them. They played LeBron at center for the second half of the game. It's crazy. Right. You can't play him at center, bro.
But to the point was of going back to Anthony Edwards and his tenacity and his will to be a slasher and take it to the rim instead of settling for when his 3-pointer was off last night, he was slashing and driving to the basket. Now on 16 one-on-ones where Luka was guarding the offensive player, there were 9 blow-bys where they just blew right by him. But my thing is, like, what are you going to do to make him become a defensive stalwart and move them puppies around and become a better defender? He's been playing like that since
nothing.
Since
nothing.
When? Since what?
There's
like the age of 15?
Luka is not going to improve defensively at all. Well, let me take that back. Let me not say he won't improve defensively at all.
He played good when he has a rim protector behind him.
He won't improve enough to be considered anything less than a liability, anything more than a liability on defense, man. You know, it is what it is. He is who he is.
Right. And then JJ Redick, some of his coaching moves were questionable. And for a rookie coach, he got defensive during the interview.
Yeah,
what were your
walked out?
Right. He says, "You think I'm inexperienced?" Yeah, basically, that was what inexperienced moves. Any closing thoughts on the Lake show? Now that they're out of the picture, they're on vacation. Is LeBron coming back?
I think LeBron might opt out.
He is.
If I was on the low, if I was LeBron, why don't he go to New York, man?
Because we don't want him in New York, yo. That's why.
Why don't he go to New York, man?
We don't.
So you sending LeBron to us, but we can't have Ja Morant.
Because we don't want him.
LeBron will score at the end of the game, and he'll get everybody involved in stuff, bro. And you don't have to play him 40 minutes because you got OG, and you wouldn't have to trade anybody to get him because he would be a free agent. Yeah, think about it, guys. Just think about it.
We don't got.
He can opt out.
We don't got no. LeBron ain't playing for no vet minimum, or not a vet minimum, but
y'all don't got y'all the New York Knicks. Y'all the first NBA team with a TV with a TV network.
That apron stuff, yo. That apron stuff. That's how we lost iHeart.
You ain't never gonna win a championship unless you go at the apron, man. You gotta go at the apron, yo. You gotta go at it. You never gonna win nothing like that with that attitude.
I'm good on LeBron, man. New York. Listen, you know who I want in New York? I want more of like a Jaden McDaniels or who's your boy in LA right now that they just picked up towards the end of this. Well, they picked him up at the trade deadline.
What, Jared Vanderbilt?
No, not Vanderbilt. The cat they picked up. Oh man, I can't remember his name. But we need
Austin Reeves.
We need a 6'6" to 6'8" wing player.
I'm telling you, we need a slasher that plays
jump
both
out. We need a athlete, yo. We need a jump out.
That sounds like LeBron, man.
That sounds like Ja Morant.
We don't need a 6'2" athlete. We need a 6'6" to 6'8" athlete.
Nah. You need a
Sound like
slash.
y'all
A catch lobs. We need the reincarnation of J.R. Smith. That's what we need, yo.
Really calling
Absolutely.
timeouts when we don't have them.
Streaky shooter, JR.
Yeah, exactly. Because to your point, to Reed's point, we need a slasher, yo. We need somebody else that could put the ball on the ground. Somebody
also
that could
defends though.
Somebody who could take their man off the dribble
And
man.
rebound. Right, exactly.
I think we're a good team. I think we're a good team rebounding wise. But our offense just be looking discombobulated, man. And we don't have no athletes on our roster, yo. None. I mean, Mitch is kind of athletic.
OG's y'all athlete, man.
Yeah,
and
OG's
Bridges
big.
supposed to be
OG's big, man. He's not really athlete. He's big, man. He's tall. He's big. I don't really.
And we gave up a lot for Bridges too, so he got to step up, man. He has to step up. But any closing thoughts on the Lakers, and any thoughts going forward on the Wolves?
Shouts out to Julius. Just shouts out to Julius, man.
No shouts out to Julius, man. He
Absolutely.
ain't do none of that in New York, man.
Because he was the main guy, yo. And Tibbs was running his
He
ass.
busted his shoulder. He busted his shoulder, man. I mean, he made an all-star in New York.
And Tibbs
bro.
ran his ass in the ground, yo, like he do everybody else, man.
Athletes injure their shoulders every day, B. Emmitt Smith played a whole playoff game with a separated shoulder, man. Ran for 200 yards on the Giants. So
who's die every day, B.
Yeah. All right, the Nuggets and the Clips.
That's a great series, man.
That has been a
good
great series.
But I think your man Michael Porter Michael Porter's he got his brother betting on the games or something. It's something funny going on in that series, bro. It's something funny. Ever since he got that 210 million, he been playing like straight doodle. And the thing is, he don't even got a big chain, yo. He don't even got a big chain or nothing.
Nah.
Ever since his brother got locked up with the gambling thing, he ain't been playing the same, bro.
So you think that's
what
the
I
story? You think
maybe he needs to get traded to the Knicks.
Nah,
we don't want him.
The story
is
Denver goes as Jamal Murray goes. Jamal Murray don't have a good game. It's basically Jokic by himself, yo.
You say the same about Kawhi Leonard.
Having an incredible game and the team losing by like 2 points or something like that.
The Knicks up by 12. The Knicks up by 12 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter.
As Kawhi Leonard goes, the Clippers go. But then, with that being said, James Harden has to at least show up, man.
Playoff James is back.
He can.
Playoff Harden, yo.
Right. So Kawhi hasn't carried them as far as they're gonna go.
What happened to my man that played they scoring guard? They don't be talking about him no more. Who came from Toronto? He played for the Jamaican national team next year. Big shout out to him, bro. Powell. My man Powell.
Yeah. I thought he was a 3.
Shout out to Powell.
Yeah, I thought he was a 3 too. I didn't think he was a point guard.
Yeah, nah, he's a
no, not point guard. He's
small forward.
He plays small forward or 2.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's a 3.
Oh, he's a 3.
He was a guard. He played for the Jamaican national team. He's playing the 3
Shout out
now.
to Powell, yo. The bomba. Shout out.
Speaking of the Jamaican national team, I didn't know the
we got a new squad.
The Thompson twins. I didn't know they played.
We got a new squad.
I know they was from Yard, yo. That's crazy.
Yeah, we got a new squad. You never know Thompson.
I rocks with them 2 cats, yo. Those 2 cats are some dogs,
man.
yo.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jamaican squad rolling out a new team because Canada, certain people ain't making Canada squad. So we let them come back over. Come back home.
Come back
to Jamaica.
Come back
to Jamaica.
Some curry goat and some jerk chicken and ting, man.
And some sensimania.
And some ting. Some bubba roots and tings, man.
So the Nuggets and the Clippers, man. Who's getting this series? To me, this has been the best series so far.
It has been.
It's a hard to call series.
I'm gonna say the Nuggets because the experience that they already have of winning the chip. I was baffled by them firing Mike Malone, but they got the Joker. And as to your point, Ty, when Jamal Murray plays on the level that he's capable of playing, dropping 40, that takes a lot of weight off a Joker, and he can execute and get the ball distributed to the other teammates. The thing with the Clippers
where are they tonight? Where they playing?
Tonight they are playing
in Denver.
All right,
in
so
Denver.
Clippers closing it out tonight.
No, Denver's at LA.
Oh,
sorry.
no.
Denver's at
in
LA.
LA.
Yeah, they're at
in
LA.
LA.
Denver's
LA is the
LA,
lowest seed,
which will be a 10 o'clock start.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna still go with Denver, man.
Yeah, I'm going with Denver too. Because for some reason, the Clippers, that franchise has always been jinxed, man. It's always been jinxed. Even going back to when they had good squads for years. Who used to coach them? The one of the greatest coaches ever. He won in the collegiate level, and he won in the NBA.
The great Mike Dunleavy.
No, not Mike Dunleavy. Not Mike Dunleavy. Who coached in the college ranks, and they also coached
Larry Brown.
Larry Brown. There you go. And they've always had
back in the days
great
when they
teams.
had Ron Harper, man, and Danny Manning. They had no great teams.
Yeah, that team went to the playoffs, made good runs, man. But they always got injured. Danny Manning stayed injured, man. He was, I guess,
they never
had
a run. They didn't even make the playoffs them years, man.
Yeah, they did.
It was a perennial loser.
Nah, they did. Go check that. But I think that wraps it up so far, man. Any closing thoughts on the NBA playoffs, my dudes, for this round? So the Nuggets. Any closing thoughts?
I don't hope Tibbs gets fired, but something got to change in New York, dog.
They got to get my man from Florida, man. I'm telling you, they got to get my man from Florida before somebody else get him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. Moving on to cold as ice, guts and ice. I got a shout out first and foremost before we even get into that. Ovechkin for breaking the Great Eight's all-time gold record, which most people thought would never be broken in our lifetime. You definitely got to shout him out, man. I remember when we first started sports in the city and we was covering Ovechkin. So definitely shout out to him. He's definitely a monster.
Yeah, she always been that way.
Yeah.
A big shout out to the Ottawa Senators because they extending the Toronto Maple Leafs losing streak. The Toronto Maple Leafs have the best record for the past couple of years, and they always get bounced in the first round, bro. Always.
But they're leading the series 3-2 though, and they're up 4-2 at the end of the third.
Toronto, for real? The first time in a minute. Toronto always be getting bounced, man.
Yeah, and just to run through the rest of the standings or in the playoff picture, Game 6, the Winnipeg Jets are leading that series over the Blues, 3-2, St. Louis Blues. Dallas leads the series over the Avalanche, 3-2. The Las Vegas Golden Knights is up 3 over the Wild. Edmonton leads the series 3-2 over the Kings. Maple Leafs are leading 3-2 over the Senators. The Lightning leading 4-1. They're awaiting the winner of the Mapes and Senators. The Capitals are also moving on, and they are going to be playing the Hurricanes in the second round. Any thoughts on the playoff picture in the NHL hockey this season? Guts and ice. I have a question for y'all, and I think I have posed that in the chat. Who's tougher, NHL player or football player?
You can fight, so
that's ding, 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 ding.
You can fight. It's allowed. It's applauded. It's encouraged. These dudes square
going
off
mad miles per
and
hour.
these dudes square off and jab each other in the head for about a
On
good
ice.
minute before the refs
On
break it up. On ice. Before the
Like,
refs break it up, man.
ice.
Football is a demanding sport physically.
Right.
Just because of the constant collisions and stuff like that.
Right.
But hockey, yo, they be getting checked into the boards and stuff like that. And yo, when you fall on the ice, you don't feel that shit.
Off the gloves.
You don't feel
Once
it
the
till the
gloves
next
come
morning,
off,
yo. You wake up the next morning bruised up, and yo, why my hip and my shoulders is yo. Shouts out to hockey players, man. I mean, football players is big and intimidating and all of that, but hockey players, yo, that's a to Cash point, man, on the ice, doing what
on the ice, throwing haymakers on the ice, and then the puck going 80 miles per hour.
Don't get hit with the puck, or hit with a stick. That's crazy.
And fighting and knowing that you can't use the stick, straight ready to throw your gloves on.
Right.
You can't use the skates. It's straight, yo. What up? What up? What up?
They let them get away with some stick checking sometimes, but if they caught, they go into the penalty box. So we're gonna revisit that next time on Sports in the City. We're gonna move along. Our monsters of the week, man. Who was a monster? Our monsters of the week. That never gets old. Never gets old. Our monsters of the week with the usual suspects and some new additions. Go ahead, shout out.
SGA, aka MVP.
What about
never a slow game, bro. Always putting in that work.
Smooth as silk. I've heard comparisons that George Gervin,
he's the new age Iceman. That's all I was about to say. The new age Iceman.
Yeah, his game is very smooth, man. Very smooth. Shout out to the Thunder team and as a whole. They've been dominant for the whole season, man.
Yeah, my monster this week is the Judge.
427 batting average, 10 home runs, 32 RBI in the month of April. Leading in almost every statistical category that they have. Wow.
I hope they can sustain it, man. I just hope they can sustain it. That's all.
Yeah, sure. Aaron Judge is definitely a monster of the week, man. He's for the whole month, month of April. I have to pick. Let me see. Anthony Edwards,
Rudy Gobert also, bro.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards.
I mean, Rudy balled his ass off, but it's not like he had a lot of resistance. So
right, but still, 27 to 24.
You're right.
You can't.
Is what it is.
You can't put that in nowhere, bro.
Those are well known. Also, Lindor from the Mets, and Lindor from the Mets he's been balling. He's been balling. Not as much as Judge, but he's been a monster.
Judge, that's what I'm about to say. Can't mention him in the same city as Aaron Judge, who's even outplaying Shohei.
Right. Well, me and Ty was talking about that earlier. Is that Judge is head and shoulders above everyone else, except for Shohei when he pitches. When Shohei is not pitching and hitting, Judge is head and shoulders the best player in the MLB. Monster of the week. He's the Godzilla of the monsters. Or the King Kong, the king of monsters. Who are your orphans? Who's not in your network?
Oh, man. First and foremost, John Morant is not in my network right now, bro.
Because he was laughing on the bench when
I just figured him out, and I got hurt. We would have won that series.
Always hurt. He's always hurt. Always hurt.
Oh man,
he needs to enter into a conditioning program and beef himself up. Who else is an orphan?
My orphan is what's his name? Your boy's pops, Tyrese Halliburton Sr.
Oh,
is my orphan with that clown move.
no, his name is John Halliburton.
Yeah, that too. He's my orphan this week. That's a clown move. Getting on the court and putting yourself in the spotlight like that, and you don't have no business being there, yo. Go sit your hind parts down somewhere. My other orphan is Deion Sanders, yo, not Shador, but Deion. Deion did his son a disservice, man. You know, I know you're a proud pops and your kid is talented, but you really was smelling yourself, Deion, and that perspiration or whatever trickled on down to his son, and he ain't reined that kid in at all. Had Shador walking up in interviews and all of that, like he's Deion Sanders, not Shador Sanders.
I'm gonna quote what Jason Whitlock said this. He was like, "Yo,
stop.
Hold on. He said something that made sense. He said, what 60-year-old still refers to themselves in third person and wears a big chain? 60-year-old.
Well, that's the Deion Sanders effect, man. Like it or love it, you know, he does what he does, man.
60 now.
You can't, but listen, as we were saying earlier, when you just judge him on the surface, of course you're gonna come up with that, right? Especially if you're Jason Whitlock. But all of the things that he does,
particularly if you're Jason Whitlock,
right? But all the other things that he does positively, how he works with the youth, how he mentors them, he raises them. He ain't just coaching them; he's turning boys into men. So I think that gets overlooked by his bravado, but he's in the entertainment industry. And he's an entertainer. He's even made rap records. Didn't he even make rap? Deion
must be the money. Nah, but that was years ago. Everybody retires their personas, bro.
Young, he's young at heart, man. And remember, he's got how many sons does he have? 2?
Deion? Like 4.
As what? He's 4? Okay. Yeah. And who's the oldest? Shador?
No,
there's one
Deion Jr.
Shiloh is older than Shador.
I thought Deion Jr. was the oldest. Don't he got a son named Deion Jr.?
Right, I believe so.
Oh yeah, Deion Jr. Yeah, he was the
video coordinator. Yeah, I think he's the old. Yeah, he got 3 sons. I take it back. He got Shador, Shiloh, and Deion Jr.
Gotcha. You know, it is what it is, though, man. Yep. Any you want to put a BK tie top 5 on the fly?
Yeah, let's do. Nah, I ain't got nothing tonight, dog. I have nothing prepared for tonight.
Okay, we get that on the next go around, man. Any closing thoughts, man? It's been a long time, man.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
My closing thoughts is hope for this season. You got some in the NBA, the playoffs. I hope somebody starts to show themselves as the number 1 contender out east and out west, so we could really guarantee a good series and hopefully no injuries affect the NBA playoffs.
That's the Celtics.
Cleveland is putting up.
Right.
Cleveland's putting up.
Closing thoughts, Ty, BK Ty.
Closing thoughts are, like I said before, this Knicks team is not better than last year's, and it's like I don't even almost nothing. I don't wish nobody to lose a job or nothing, man. But I just hope that we can make some better moves this offseason, because we're about to get swept by Boston. And that's if we can put Detroit to bed. So, shouts out to my Knicks, dog.
True. My closing thoughts are, man, happy to be back in Sports in the City, live from the arena with my partners in crime, BK Ty, Kato Cash, and Ja Logic. Shout out to everybody who was tuning in.
Salute Iran Network.
Iran Network.
Union.
Yes, sir.
Virginia Slim, we see you, famo.
Yes.
Salute.
Till next time.
Enjoy.
Yes, sir. Peace. Later, y'all.
And what could ever lead you? Yeah, where we need you. The keys in my life, we got him on the spot. Welcome back.